You now know how to shape individual tools so the model uses them correctly. That skill scales up when you move from a single local tool set to tools that live on a server. In this module, we step back and look at the architecture, where to draw the server boundary, which transport to pick, and how to distribute tools with tool choice configuration so the agent still gets exactly what it needs. By the end of this module, you can decide where the server boundary belongs, choose a transport and defend it, and distribute tools with tool choice configuration. Here is how this module builds up. Server scoping is the decision about where an MCP server configuration lives. It is not about how the server is built, that is implementation. Scoping is pure configuration, project-level.mcp.json for tooling the whole team shares, user-level /.claude.json for experiments that belong to one person. The distinction people get wrong is treating everything as project scope, which pollutes the team config with personal tools and forces everyone to manage them. Without correct scoping, two failures happen in production. First, secrets leak. Someone inlines a token, Git ignores the file, and 6 months later a new teammate copies the config without the git ignore and commits the secret. Environment variable expansion prevents this entire class of incident. Second, config sprawl. Personal experiments end up in the project config, and suddenly every team member has a broken server they never asked for. The cost is trust in the config file and time wasted debugging other people's experiments. Let's work the GitHub integration case from start to finish. The whole team needs this server, so project scope is the right call. You place the configuration in .mcp.json at the project root and commit it. For the token, you write $GitHub token, that is environment variable expansion. The alternative is inlining the actual token and adding the file to .gitignore. That alternative loses because it only takes one person forgetting the git ignore, or one CI pipeline that does not respect it, and the secret is in the repository history forever. The other three cases in the drill follow the same pattern: user scope for personal, adopt for standard, resources for catalogs. They are on the page. The durable rule is this: commit the config, never the secret. Environment variable expansion is the only pattern that survives team turnover in CI pipelines. User scope exists for a reason: use it for anything experimental, because a team config file that breaks for half the team is a config file nobody trusts. For standard integrations, adopt a community server. The reason is not laziness, it is that a custom server for something like Jira creates maintenance burden forever, and onboarding a new teammate now includes explaining your custom server. Finally, when the agent needs to see a catalog of content, reach for MCP resources. Rejecting a list all tool is not about purity, it is about avoiding a call every time and data that goes stale in the prompt. On the exam, expect a scenario that asks where the config and the secret go. The distractor that catches people is inlining the token and jitignoring the file. It looks secure enough in a solo project, but the exam is testing whether you think about team turnover in CI. Another common distractor is building a custom server for something like Jira or GitHub. The exam expects you to know that community servers exist and that adopting them is the architecturally sound choice. This is testcraft. The answer that feels most hands-on is often the one that fails at scale. This technique is about knowing what not to study. The exam blueprint draws a line: transport selection, hosting, and cloud provider configuration are out. But the in-scope neighbors, server scoping, credentials, discovery, sound similar. The distinction that trips people up is thinking integration means everything from transport up. It doesn't. The exam tests architectural decisions around MCP, not the plumbing. Without this discipline, you'll spend hours comparing SDIO, SSE, and HTTP real engineering knowledge, but not on this exam. In production, that matters. In the exam, it's a trap. The failure mode is walking into the test center confident about transports and missing the questions on scoping and discovery that actually carry weight. The cost is a lower score in a domain that's 18% of the exam, because you studied the wrong 18%. Take the case of transport selection itself. You open the blueprint, find the out-of-scope list, and see deploying or hosting MCP servers and cloud provider configuration. Transport selection falls squarely under that. You write down SDIO versus SSE versus HTTP and cross it off. The alternative is to study it anyway. It feels like integration, it's interesting, and you know it'll be useful someday. But that choice loses you time. The exam won't ask about it, and the time you spent could have gone to D1, which is 27% of the exam, or to the in-scope neighbors in this module, server scoping and discovery. The rest of the cases, hosting, container orchestration, are on the page, but the pattern is the same. Check the blueprint, cross it off, redirect. The durable rule is, before you study anything for a certification, check the blueprint. If it's explicitly out of scope, cross it off, no matter how relevant it feels. The reason isn't that the knowledge is worthless, it's that the exam is a timed, scored artifact, and you're optimizing for points. Rejecting transport selection isn't about dismissing the technology, it's about recognizing that the exam tests architectural judgment, not infrastructure choices. That rule holds for any exam, any vendor, any year. On the exam, expect distractors that use the language of integration to pull you toward transport details. A question might mention MCP server communication but actually ask about resource scoping or credential handling. The testcraft here is that knowing the out-of-scope list is itself a defense you'll recognize when a tempting answer is about infrastructure and eliminate it. This part is pure exam technique, the blueprint is your filter. Tool choice is a per-request setting that tells Claude how to use tools. Auto lets the model decide whether to call a tool or answer in prose. Any forces a tool call but lets the model choose which tool. Forced selection locks a specific tool by name. The distinction people get wrong: tool choice is not a workflow engine. It does not remember state across turns. It is a single turn directive. In production, the failure this prevents is a system that looks safe but is not. Imagine you force an identity verification tool on the first turn. On the next turn, the model can still process a refund without checking that verification happened. The cost is real: money lost, compliance broken, trust eroded. Tool choice cannot carry a rule across turns. Only a prerequisite gate, a check that runs before every sensitive action, can do that. Let us work through the extraction endpoint case. The requirement: it must never return prose, and it handles documents of unknown type. If we choose auto, the model might answer in prose that fails the requirement. If we force a specific tool, we might pick the wrong schema for the document. So we choose any, a tool call is guaranteed, but the model still selects the right tool based on the document content. The alternative, forced selection, loses because it is too rigid for unknown types. The other cases follow the same logic, and they are on the page. The durable rule: tool choice is a per-request control. Use it to shape a single-turn auto for flexibility, any for guaranteed tool use with model choice, forced selection when a specific tool must run first. But the moment your rule spans multiple turns, tool choice is the wrong tool. Reaching for it to enforce a business rule like identity before refund is the trap, because it bypasses the language understanding you are paying for and gives you a brittle, false security. On the exam, the distractor is using tool choice to enforce a multi-step business rule. They will give you a scenario like the refund case and offer forced selection as an option. The correct answer is to reject it and use a prerequisite gate instead. This is testcraft. They want to see if you understand the boundary of tool choice. Remember, it governs one request, not a session. So remember, tools are for actions, resources are for content the agent can see without asking. Pick your transport based on the blueprint, not just what you're comfortable with. And tool choice only controls one request at a time, it won't enforce your whole workflow.